This is Shannon Cook with Drywalldoc.com in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Today we're doing a hole in the garage where a guy backed into his garage and the Reese hitch, trailer hitch ball went to the wall. There's two ways to patch it. Today I'm going to show you what we call a hot patch. Some people call it a California patch. Have no idea why. We call it a hot patch because we always use hot mud with it, which hot mud is a mud that you mix with water and it gets hot and then it activates and it dries really quick. So we're going to use 5-minute mud to fix this. We're going to heat dry it and then we're going to paint it. So we'll get it all, should be able to get it all done in about 45 minutes from patching to painting. So we're going to start out. This is 5/8 sheetrock, this is 1/2 inch. It doesn't really matter because there's no studs in the way. All we're going to do is create a, well I'll just show you. So we're going to cut it out first, square. There's other specialty tools we have like saws and stuff. I'm trying to show how anybody can do it with the minimum amount of tools. Well, I know a lot of people don't want to go buy specialty saws and stuff like that, so I just want to show the simplest way to do it without going to buy special stuff. All right, now, brown side of the paper, that's the back. This is the thickest paper, this is the front, the white side, gray, white, whatever. So what I always do, the quickest way to do it, we're getting something that's like 2 or 3 inches wider all the way around. So it's that big. Okay, so I know I need it that wide and that wide on this side. I'm just gonna mark it a little bit shy of what the actual hole is. That's the bottom. I'm gonna hold it up on the side here, mark it for the sides. Now, you can use a ruler or whatever. I've just done it for so long that I know how to cut a straight line. Even on crooked sheetrock, so it's just what you get used to. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to use this piece. That's the hard piece. All this is going to come off. So what we do is just break it. 1/2 inch sheetrock breaks easier, but so we want to keep this full piece back here. So what we're going to do is just barely pull it, break it. 5/8 is just a little hard to break. Trim it up just a little bit, just a little bit big. What you want to do is just get the hole patched inexpensively and cheap, and fast as possible. A lot of these holes, people knocking a wall, fist holes or whatever, you know, they don't want to pay several $100s for somebody to come out and patch it and paint it, but I'm just going to show you the process in case you want to do it yourself. Now that fits up in there perfectly. Here's what we're doing. We're going to mud that now. Mud it in there with 5-minute mud. Then we'll put another coat of 5-minute on top of it and heat dry them in between. And then we'll put another, possibly a third coat of score to how it turns out.
You like that?
All right, this is the hot mud I was talking about. 5-minute mud. I know I've done several videos on using it, but I like to show it in almost every video. You can get 5-minute mud pretty much any paint store, Lowe's, Home Depot. It may be their brand, but that's fine. This is Ruco. USG makes a brand. USG brand actually dries in 5 minutes exactly, most all the time. This brand will give me about 10 minutes of drying time, so I can actually play with it a little longer and work with it a little more. So I just like this kind better. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna fill the pan up about halfway, because I want to show people exactly how much water to put in here. So I'm gonna use a water bottle. This pan is it's a 14-inch pan. It's halfway full. It should take almost this whole bottle of water. We're gonna pour about half the bottle in there to start with. Then we're gonna just move the knife back and forth and move it around the corners, because the corners where all the stuff gets stuck up into. Pour some more. It should just about do it. It may take just a little more or a little less, but usually a half a pan takes a bottle of water. Then you can start to fold it easily so you don't sling it everywhere. It's going to take just a little bit more at this time. So I'm going to put just a little bit more in there. Not much. Most pans are 12 inches. I use 14-inch pan because I like to use a 14-inch knife. I do a lot of patchwork and we have to bust a lot of it out wide. So I have 12-inch knives, 8-inch knives, all that stuff too, but 14 is my preference. Most times if you're just trying to do a patch cheap, you're just going to go get a regular 12-inch knife because they're cheaper. And it'll work totally fine.
Is my cough gonna mess up with the video?
You'll just keep basically kneading it to knock out the lumps and get it all the dry parts mixed up. Get there about 5 minutes. Even if it has some lumps in it, you can work them out on the wall really quick. All right, now let's go start putting it on. Okay, I always like to put just a little bit on the inside just to grab a hold of it too. Then put it around the outside. You can kind of see the outline of where I cut on the wall to keep the edges from rolling up. That's how I know how much to put on there. All right, now you're just gonna wipe it out. Usually you want to go straight down. If you try to just go up, sometimes it'll wrinkle. So when you start, now I can go around with it, keep it from wrinkling. Now, good thing about 5 minutes is I can put a few coats on at once and work it out as I go. So I'm going to put another good coat on here. I'm not going to put much pressure on it, there's a little dip in the middle here where the patch was. So I'm going to do it kind of light to where I have something to work with. As it's drying, I can actually get a lot of the lines and stuff out. Because 5 minute mud allows you to work with it. And as it's drying, most of the time you can do it to where you don't even have to put an extra coat of hot mud on before you put the regular mud on. So I can take that right there now. I'm gonna get my heat gun and we're gonna heat dry this. Then I'll slick it out, as I call it, as it's drying with my knives. Then I'll put one light coat of regular mud on. Then I'll dry it with a heat gun and then we can sand and paint it. Going. All right, now we've got our heat gun out. It's just a regular heat gun. I bought it at Harbor Freight, Lowe's, Home Depot, all of them have it. You can use a blow dryer. This just gets a lot hotter, a lot hotter. This will actually bubble paint and everything off walls and off cars and everything if you put it close enough. But I don't run it wide open. I run it on about 5 because I don't want to dry the mud so fast that it tries to bubble. So. Now I've got a good bit of mud on here, so it's going to take a few minutes to dry because it's kind of thick, which is what I wanted. But in order for us to paint it, I have to have it completely dry. Okay. All right, now we've got it dried. It took about 10 minutes to dry it total. So now we're just gonna, I don't even have to put another coat on it because that's gonna sand out good. I got it floated nice, slicked it all the lines out with my knife. So I should just be able to sand it. Now I got a medium grit. I don't use coarse or fine. I use medium grit because the scratches are not bad at all and you can't really see them. So we're gonna go circle instead of just straight. You can do straight, but after you do straight like this, you have to do a circle to hide the scratches because you'll see straight scratches if you don't. That's why they make sanders, orbital sanders, because it hides the scratches. How long? Oh, God. Take the sandpaper, it knocks it off, and start back over. All right, now I've got that done, I'm gonna hit the patch again one time for a minute or so with my heat gun just to make sure it's completely dry before I try to do any painting. I want to make sure it's dry, because if it's not dry, even a few little spots is not completely dry, they're dry on the surface but they're not underneath. When you paint it, after it completely dries, a little bubble will form up under it or the paint won't stick. You can kind of see where it wasn't 100% dry. Now it's turning completely white, and you can see a little gray tint up under a minute ago. So it's letting me know that it's still needs a little bit more drying after I knock the top off of it. So my son told me that it took 6 minutes to dry it a minute ago instead of 10, so that's not bad at all. Because I had a good bit of mud on there. Now if you're trying to do it and you've never mudded before, you may not want to put that much mud on there. You may want to put lighter coats and sand between coats. I've just mudded for so long that I can make it look good with, less coats. But if you're new to it, you may have to sand between coats, and that's totally fine. Just make sure you don't pile one big coat up, because then you'll have a big hump on the wall, and it'll take you a fortnight to sand it out. So everything's completely white now. You just got a few little high spots there, but you can't feel them at all. They're just, the mud's just thin where I sanded it down in 2 little areas. All right, now we'll get the paint out and a little mini roller, roll it on. We can clean up and go. These patches roughly cost $300 to $400 to do a patch like this and then paint it. Because you got to buy the paint, that's $30 for the paint. So, but if you want to do it yourself and save money, this is the way you do it. All right, we got our paint. I know this is a lot of paint, for this one patch. But to buy a quart of paint match this is only about $3 cheaper than buying a whole gallon. And this is a fairly popular color around here, so I can use this color on other jobs. So we're just gonna roll it on pretty thick. We're not gonna dry roll it where if you can hear the roller zooming across, then you're dry rolling. You wanna put plenty of paint on and then roll the paint out. It should match perfect when it's done, dried. So you can see I'm making it thick and then back rolling it several times. When I go around the edges, what I'll do is lighten it up on the edges instead of having a hard line, and it actually makes it blend in better. But you want it thick, because if you don't put it on very thick, if you put light coats on, this mud is going to show through. Put a good, thick, wet coat on, and it won't show through. I always go back and forth both directions. Now we'll lighten it up on top here. Because let's say the color is off just a little. If you do it light on the edges, most of the time if it's off just a little, you really can't tell when it dries. But if I do it where it's got a line around there, when it dries, you'll be able to see it. All right, you can see it looks like this is discolored here. What it is that mud is soaking the paint up, but when it completely dries, the wall has already been painted before. The mud is raw. The mud soaks paint up at a different rate, so it looks like it's two different colors. When it dries, it's going to be the exact same color all over, so don't worry about that. It looks like I may have missed something, but I didn't. I'm going to stick a little heat on that and we'll look at it. Normally, I just let it dry itself, but I want to kind of show you what I'm talking about when it dries. All right, so we're just going to leave that to finish drying on its own. I just wanted to kind of explain how this works and to show you that it would blend in, because some people look at that and they're like, oh, that's never going to dry. But you can see that it will. As long as you go to a good paint store, cut you a swatch out first, go to a good paint store that matches paint. Lowe's or Home Depot is not going to match paint correctly. In a pinch, they'll work, but you most of the time have to paint the whole wall. I don't want to paint whole walls, I want to do patch stuff. This is flat paint, so you can match it fairly easy. Eggshell paint, you can't. You got to paint the whole wall. So that's where we're at. And that is a repair, basically 45 minutes at the most, patch, dried, and painting.